there. It's out there. Yeah,
right.
It's out there.
It's true. It's on my television. It's true. Well, look, I mean, we've been wanting to have you on the show forever, so this is a great honor, and we should just get. I have a bunch of questions, so and you said I could ask you whatever I wanted. I think. Did you not say that? Am I lying right now?
I wouldn't dare say that. I always say it. It's just sort of open.
So first, I want to talk about your past, and then we'll get to future stuff and present stuff. But I want to talk about Apple and your involvement in Apple, and can you tell me a little bit about? I guess what I want to ask is, everybody talks about startups, right? Like Facebook, and this is the new culture of startups. We see stuff like Success Network, obviously, is sort of a depiction of that. How does that compare? I mean, they made a movie about you guys, Pirates of Silicon Valley. How does the culture compare?
Pirates of Silicon Valley. It's like those are the interesting stories. People don't want to read all the business books about the boring businesses that grew and grew and grew and hired people that had stature in the big money world and making things work. No, they want to hear the stories about young folks like themselves that have an idea and turned it into reality and made something out of it. And almost all these stories are kind of like the social network. They're starting out in dorms. They're starting with young people with an idea and just so excited about it, and other people talking about the same things. And Apple was very much like that. That's why Pirates of Silicon Valley and the social network, they're so popular. There's, people don't recognize that's interesting. They think if you got to write an article about Facebook, it has to be the businesses and the market shares and the number of people and the advertising dollars. And no, it doesn't.
But how does that compare when you see something? Well, I mean, obviously the social network is drama, but you've seen the development of Facebook. Do you feel like that culture is the same as the culture that Apple came out of, or how different is it now?
Oh, it was so similar to the starting days. I mean, it's like a period you can't ever describe or expect to see again in your life. Just a few people that have an idea that believe they're onto a revolution, changing the world, attracting a little bit of money at first, believing in themselves. Yeah, I mean, it's just the real small beginnings is an incredible time. Once it's passed, now you've made it, you've got a big company, it's got a lot of money, it's going to go for a long time.
I mean, is it crazy for you to think about being in a garage and now Apple is this just dominating brand? I mean, the mind share that Apple has, that you're responsible for. I mean,
I'm very indebted to Steve Jobs for having run the most incredible company ever in the gadget areas, and the products are, so good, a big part of my life. I don't always agree, and I speak out. I don't always agree with all the policies that Apple has, but boy, I'm so thankful that it's still a company. It's a company that's not a startup of young kids in a dorm room.
Right.
It's making products that take our lives into so many different areas. They got about.
And how many people are at Apple right now? Is it 30,000, 50,000?
I'm the last person who would ever count the numbers. I'm not
I'm not one of those. It's a lot bigger than two guys in a garage.
I'm not one of those details. I don't even look at my bank account. I just
you don't have to.
Exactly.
Some of us have to look at the bank account. So you said you disagree with some stuff that Apple does now, and you're pretty public about it. When you disagree with something, you'll write something about it. You'll talk about it publicly. Does Steve or somebody call you and they're like, dude, come on?
Sometimes, but usually it's in an interview situation where I get asked a tricky question that only has one kind of answer. Do you think that the iPhone should have been 3G? And
do you?
Well, this was weeks after it was out. It was 2 weeks after Steve Jobs had given. I don't know, what was it? It was one of the iPhones that gave back $200 to everybody or something.
Yeah, the first one.
Because they lowered the price. Do you think they lowered the price too soon? Well, yeah, they did. Too soon, too fast. Well, not only had Steve Jobs said it 2 weeks before, I got credit for bashing Apple, but American Express would give you back the full $200 because of their price protection policy. Plus, you could get 100 in the Apple Store, so you could get the $200 back from American Express and 100 in the Apple Store. I had bought about 10 of them.
Right?
That's a scam. It means there's good, solid evidence that they lowered the price too much, and my speaking out on it isn't bashing Apple; it's just telling the truth.
Right.
The trouble is, I have a real problem with
Has Steve called you?
No, he didn't call me on that one. He called me on, there was one in Europe where it sounded like I was sort of saying, iPods are just a commodity product or nothing. Well, I was talking about the iPods had now moved on to the iPhones and the iPod Touches. And the little machines just hanging around everywhere, they're just everywhere, and that's what I meant by commodity. So,
but he was
board of directors thinks you should just be fired. You get a small paycheck and you get health insurance and...
You mean, at the time, you were getting... So you get... I do. So you still get a paycheck?
I get a real small paycheck because I don't know, I think it's a few $100 every 2 weeks.
Okay.
It's in that range. I mean, it's pretty small.
I think they should pay
but I want to be, it's a game. I like to play these little games, and this game's gone so long, I'm almost not enthused about it anymore, but I want to be the only person that's ever been on Apple's payroll every single week from day one since the company started.
Well, it must be easy though, because you don't even have to go into work.
Sorry. You know what? I'm not there. They give me privileged key that opens theoretically every door. Didn't work on the HR door the other day. That's where they fire people.
Why were you trying to get into HR? Can you tell?
Believe it or not, one employee had written me that he had a friend who worked there, and his young kid, 12 years old, had bought and built an Apple I replica. And I came in to surprise both him and his father.
Oh,
well, something like that.
Right.
You do that in life. That's part of life.
Yeah.
Right at Apple. They worked in the HR building. Went in this little thing, oh man, I talked to the kid and encouraged him and did, those kind of teacher things.
But the key did not open the door to HR.
I don't know why it didn't. Yeah, it didn't work that far.
Maybe I talked to somebody about that.
Maybe they've restricted me, but I don't really have insights to any of the information in Apple. I know a lot of engineers. I never once will ask them, what's coming out? Is that coming out? Is it going to have this feature? I will never ask.
Really?
Because
you're a curious man.
When Steve came back, there were so many. Who knew the most rumors was like a pissing contest? Okay, great. I could never win that. I don't like to get in a contest where you're being judged against others. And so everybody else knew something I didn't know. Or if I got an inside beta product, it would have a bug, and they'd say, oh yeah, we fixed that, bring it down and we'll upgrade it. And I got tired of going through all that, so I said, no, this is not good for Apple. When Steve came back and he put on the secrecy cloak, I believe in it, that you shouldn't know what the products are being worked on. If you're working on one product, you shouldn't necessarily know about other products that don't involve you. So I believe in that very strongly, and I adhere to it. I never try to get a little inside information. I've got a few friends that I know do. And but I don't.
You can't tell us about
so I don't know.
the iPad
Apple has a business dealing. One time I accidentally said that they purchased Nuance. I made a mistake. They purchased Siri.
Right.
And it's a voice. They're both voice. Nuance is like the technology. Siri.
Yeah, but when you make a mistake like that, like stock prices drop.
Yeah, they blame it on.
Like I'm selling Siri. I thought they purchased it. I got it wrong.
And then you can't be tired of me. A normal person who just reads. I just read Engadget basically. Of course. You know what? All my life I've had real strong philosophies, and I've stayed true to the person I was. And Apple's a huge success. Would it take you into another world where you run all these projects and make all this money out of what you have and turn it into more money? And I had made my early philosophies when I was 20. I wanted to be kind of a normal middle person doing the things that all the people do, the normal people. And I've stayed so true to that. I've gone back and done things I would have done if Apple had never happened. Like get my college degree, and I taught 5th grade for 8 years with no press. That's just me. So Engadget, I just want to read it and be excited and be able to comment. I can't go to a show like CES or Macworld without being mobbed everywhere I go, and I can't just ask questions like I'm a dummy and I want to learn.
Right.
And I want that experience.
You'll never get mobbed on Engadget.
I get it on Engadget.
Feel free to always comment and read. We promise not to mob you.
And sometimes there's an issue that I have a little joke, and I love to joke, or sometimes there's an issue that I know an answer. I can give you the answer, and and I don't hide stuff and lie and manipulate and set up special wording to fool you. No. Right?
Do you ever think? I mean, obviously Apple is this incredible company that's doing a lot of innovation, and I know that you're a man who's very forward thinking. Do you ever look at what they're doing and say, I kind of want to go back and do stuff with them? I mean, it seems like you might look at it and say, man, they're doing such awesome stuff. Like I could be part of this, or I could contribute to this. Do you ever have that feeling, or is it?
There have been times on occasion where I had certain ideas in certain technology areas, and I thought maybe I could contribute. I'd love to be in there maybe and seeing these great products and being a part of it. But then no, I always say no. I am not a manager. When we started Apple, I had a firm understanding that was verbally expressed. I'm going to be doing my engineering. I'm not going to try to pretend I know how to do marketing and what color the box should be. I'm not going to try to do things that people have done for 10 years. They know how to do their job. I'm not going to step on their toes, and I'm not going to run a company. Because if I tried to run a company, I would get squeezed out by the political types, because I'm so mild a person, I'm too soft a person.
Right.
So I only did engineering. Went in the lab, I kept designing stuff, hardware, soldering wires together, running test software. That's how it was from day one. So I wouldn't be able to, at this stage, I don't have time to do the engineering. I don't have time to do the engineering. If I were in Apple, I could manage a couple of projects. I don't want to, I don't think I would be a positive contribution to Apple. If I felt I had something very positive to offer Apple, yeah, I would want to be there. No, that's true. Yeah, I really don't think that today, the sort of things that make the great products are a very intent knowledge about the components that are out there, the new technologies coming, dealing with a lot of different people, reps that are bringing in the new components, and the manufacturing technologies, operations. Really today, look at any product you have that you love. it's really a miracle of manufacturing to get that much computer in such a small space. And all the sensors and everything you could ever dream of. I mean, you know, look, I mean, you've got that little card, the micro SD card.
Yeah.
Micro SD card, and it's 4 or more chips on top of each other, sliced so thin with lasers that, you know, it's like the whole thing's as thin as a piece of paper. I mean, it's just, that's a manufacturing technology that makes those cards possible.
So you feel like you feel like it wouldn't be hands-on enough? Like there's not enough of the actual soldering work?
I enjoyed the hands-on stuff, actually making stuff on my own so much, yeah, that would be what I want to do the most.
Right.
But I wouldn't be able to do that now, because certain things take you away from the time to be that kind of an engineer.
Right. Well, that makes sense. And